Good day. Much love to you and yours. This is Siren Buddha Medicine with Regina's Rabbit Hole. And I'm presently editing a video on Morgellons disease. It's something that I really think that you should research and get into. I want to open this up for discussion for the community by making this video. And there's a few things that I want to discuss first. In studying universal law, it's said that addiction is a symptom of lack of liberation. Now, universal laws are very precise. It's alchemical. If you do this, this will happen because it's energetic. And the universal laws help you shift through this energy, this earth energy. They also, through correspondence, which is another universal law, reveal more elusive things that you wouldn't normally pay attention to unless you were layering and going over certain information. And that's where we're at right now with Morgellons and my research, okay? We're talking about social engineering. We're talking about people who have had a lot more knowledge about the way things work than we do, okay? The ordinary Joe, or Regina, okay? The results of social engineering. Allow me to show you an example of what I mean by showing you a collection of clips from various scholars, bringing in different conversations from different circumstances, which confirm what I'm saying to you, which is a norm, an obvious norm of social engineering, constructive, tampering, that we're not supposed to be wise to. We're not supposed to see and acknowledge and be able to comprehend what's happening to us while it's happening. This is an art of war. What I'm about to show you are some similarities and correspondences, okay? Remember, we're talking about lack of liberation, vibration, and frequency, environment, your physical body, and your spiritual mentality are all connected. We're going to look at the similarities of drug infestation and pestilence, okay? Parasite infestation and poverty leading to a road more traveled than less for people with less, okay? Which leads to community isolation. And in these communities, addiction and health plus mental illness, okay? Health is lacking in these communities. They're poverty stricken, and because of the poverty, crime is up. By design, by the alchemy of the situation. By the alchemy of that situation, you can design jails and institutions and places that deal with death. Or you could promote life, but we're dealing with these things here in the Matrix. We have the prison industry, big pharma with their medications, funeral rights and birthing rights, where because we have no rights to our own facilities, must partake in the government's facilities and your state facilities and your social securities that we have. So you need a social security number. You need to be a citizen, right? You need to be a member of society. And in doing that, that gives you the rights to whatever services that your area gives you. We're looking at the powers that be able to promote their psychology, their drugs, their hospitals, their counselors, their doctors, their buildings, their permits, their laws, their jails, their bonds, their fees, their bail, their lawyers, their labor, probation, halfway houses, and so on, off of the oppressed community. Oppression, that's a direct response of lack of liberation due to alchemistry. Excuse me, due to alchemy. So we have basically communities with no community, as in nurturing. It's off balance, for lack of better words right now. We have nuclear families, lack of family support due to the drug epidemics, the massive poverty, and the mental illness as a result of depravity. So our elderly are not taken care of by community in a nurturing way. They're thrown into the institutions that are set up for our economic dynamics. Cha-ching! And the youth end up in institutions because there's no mentorship and there's no catering to our elevation, okay, with finances and with the design of community and with health and with mental health. And until this is addressed by government, we just gonna keep asking them and looking for funds for that. But if we can make ourselves aware of what's happening, we can literally regroup and redesign the way that we're thinking about our interactions with all these things. By becoming more aware of the whole, we have more of a choice to walk around it, and then even not to walk towards the whole at all. If we do, we have other choices, like perhaps we want to cover the hole, to fill it, so that we don't have to keep, you know what I'm saying? We have some choices, metaphorically, that we can walk into. So I really hope you enjoy the clips that I put together on Morgellons. I want to show you the correspondences between the communities that this is happening to, the pestilence, the parallels with the pestilence, the weaponized bugs, the dis-ease and disease, the mental illness, the drug addiction, and the mass depravity are all social engineering. They're tools of social engineering. So, much love to you and yours. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share to help support. Also, you can donate to Cash App Life Coach 369A. I have been and will forever be your life coach here on the planet by design. I only show you what I use myself and what I run into. I actually use the tools that I give to you, and I've done the research myself. I've been a part of other groups and other people that are doing the research on similar topics that kind of layer in and fold into what I'm doing, that I share with you, because that's the only way that we're going to be the hope that we want to see, is to actually make the change and do the research and raise the awareness and take those risks to be the oddball and the person speaking until everybody is speaking. Much love to you and yours. This is Siren Buddha Medicine and Regina's Rabbit Hole. Enjoy the Morgellons information. Oh, I don't own the rights to these clips except for this one. Thank everyone that I used within the clips. Santo Spinaci, Red Pill, Fox News and some other clips in there. I will put the links in as a reference for you so you can watch the full body of work and gain more information and insight on this topic. I'm out.
No. See, so I was aware of this for years because I've been researching conspiracies since, in a heavy way, coupled with my syncretism since 2007. Big wake up year for me. And I remember the woman speaking about nanoparticles. I knew chemtrails were happening then as well. I used to burn DVDs and put them in the bag when anyone would buy a CD. I'd put a few DVDs about chemtrails, vaccinations, etc. In there as well. And
well done. I'll give you a clap for that.
Oh yeah, I used to bring tens and tens of burnt DVDs and just give them to people on the street. But so I've known about it for so long, but now it's my reality, and I've just realised that really since I met you last month. I mean, no, that's pretty good. I'm just trying to make heads or tails of this. You're way more well versed in Morgellons than me. I remember discovering it 10 years ago, and I just thought to myself, okay, well, we'll see if I ever get that one. And I remember I was busking in Melbourne in early 2000s, somewhere around 2003, and an American woman pointed out that nanoparticles are going to be sprayed all over the place. So I had those two things in mind. Now, together with mold, weaponized mold and bugs and mosquitoes and ticks, you've got mold, you've got...
Oh, woodlouse too. Don't leave out the woodlouse. I mean, they've weaponized, and what insects aren't weaponized are now weaponized, because this isn't only people getting this. It's spreading to trees, to animals, plants, insects. There's nothing safe from this, Santos. They are reinventing the planet.
Ну, видите, да? Возможно, живут в нас. Да, возможно, живут в нас. Их смотрите, как много. Это в каждой сарае, в каждом кузнечике. Прикольно. Жевать начинает. Блин, приближаешь. Они живут. Это не кишки, это отдельные организмы. Беленькие, черненькие. Они белые, черные, их очень много. Блондины. Я вот переживаю, мы тут пьем воду, так что Алмата может скоро пополниться. Не только Алмата, но и Москва, и Израиль.
Более того, даже открыли, почему саранча теперь много ест. Оказывается, она питает не только себя.
А может быть, этот симбиоз был уже давно, поэтому саранча такая прожорливая.
Да.
Но...
А никто не знал?
Да.
Ну, собственно, вот шевеление сюда свет.
Этим объясняется, да, ее прожорливость.
Нифига.
Как на операции только. Сюда свет.
Поэтому все, дабы не опорокинуться, лучше медведей.
So yeah, I want to talk about DMX. I want to begin this conversation dealing with the dark man X, right? A few things happened that I witnessed. And when I was in Newark, I was having a conversation about, the outside neighborhoods in Newark that we were driving through that are kind of like, but run down, dilapidated. And I was pointing to chemical warfare as being the culprit. Newark was once called Newark, right? Newark. And Newark, like Chicago, like Detroit, was considered to be a mecca of not just black consciousness, black culture, jazz, bebop, R&B, niggas that be scatting, the blues in some degrees. And, you know, when the drugs hit, the culture took a hit. And as a result of the culture taking a hit, the people take a hit. Right? The riot started the downturn, right? And then they came with the drugs to keep people, you know, yeah, definitely keep that same energy. You know what I mean? Free the crackheads. And that when they came with the chemicals after the riots, you feel me? It was basically to keep our people suppressed in what is known as escapism. When they traumatize you enough and trigger PTSD, the natural progression or degression, for that matter, is escapism, right? Tapping out. People want to tap in to something else. They want to tap out of reality. Henceforth, you get onboarded to the Fetty. You get onboarded to that horse. You get onboarded to that white girl and all of that other things. There's so many names that we could give them. You know, in the hood, the fucking blunt is escapism. It starts there. You know what I mean? And because of the chemicals that they're putting in the marijuana, it's been known to be a gateway drug. You know what I mean? Where people get on the weed and then that shit leads them to other things. You know what I'm talking about? So our good brother Earl Simmons, Dark Man X, he has a unique position in hip hop. He's one of the few open junkies, right? From the older generation, right? Not the new junkies, not the new ones that are on crack and, you know, they're on dope, they're on heroin, they're on opiates and whatnot, right? Lean and them pills, right? That you know, the perkies. You know what I'm talking about? Pop a perk, go crazy. You know what I mean? They said the perkies is like Viagra's for these young niggas. You know what I'm talking about? So DMX though, in the older generation, the Jay-Z generation, right? Because him and Jay-Z were fighting for supremacy at one time, right? Nas, you know, you see Nas looking all young, still focusing on his health, right? But then you see other people like Pimp C, you know what I mean? Like Screw, DJ Screw, and a few other people from Texas and places like that, you know, make transition prematurely because of the lean, right? Hard shit, you know what I'm saying? Allegedly. And that wasn't discussed openly amongst the peers because it was somewhat shunned. So they kind of swept things under the rug. And, you know, people just don't talk about shit like that. You know what I'm talking about? They don't really have those conversations about getting people help, intervention and whatnot, and the dangers of what it is. I mean, they say it haphazardly like anybody else would say it, but I don't know because I'm not in the studios. I'm not around everybody all the time. But from the looks of things, there's a lot of people slipping through the cracks who would have otherwise, you know, received some type of help if it were another situation. You know, if that nigga needed help spending money, I'm sure that he could have found that a lot quicker than if he needed help kicking that motherfucking monkey on his back. Now, DMX stated in an interview that he was actually tricked into participating in his first crack smoking session, right? I shared with the family that when I was a young man, I believe I was around 16 or 15, somebody slipped me some angel dust. You know what I'm talking about? And I seen how quick that shit can happen. I witnessed personally, right? I lived through, you know, the fear or the trauma of being slipped a chemical that you probably were too young to deal with. And I have friends, right? One of my old friends from back in the days, a nigga from the sandbox, he went away to school. Somebody slipped him some shit. He came back to the block completely twisted and never got his mind back. Right? Respectfully, you know? My aim and what we did in Newark, New Jersey is we didn't judge Earl Simmons. You know what I'm talking about? We didn't judge him. What we did, we didn't even talk about him being, we didn't even mention the word. We didn't utilize the finality of certain words that people like to use when they use those three initials. We didn't feed none of that energy. We was like, nah, fuck that. We're gonna pull him out of the darkness. We're gonna pull him out of the darkness. You know what I mean? We're not doing that. You know. But what I did see in the verses when he did Snoop Dogg verses, I'm like, damn, why nobody is talking about his you know, is anybody gonna help him with that stomach? Is anybody, because I know that was a lot of that weight that you gain when you're in, like, you know, recovery. But we got to talk about, you know, that stomach got to go down. You know what I mean? That man's stomach have to go down, especially with the way that those drugs were being abused. Like, if you don't get rid of that stomach, if you don't clear out your intestines and whatnot, if you don't clean your stomach out, them parasites that was addicted to that crack and other things, them shits are still in you, bro. And it ain't even about eating. That's not a stomach. That's not dealing with the eating aspect. That's dealing with, you know, the gut health and some other things. You know how strong them urges are to fucking relapse, to pick. You know what I mean? You know how strong them urges are when you got all of that stuff swimming around in your intestines. You know. Yeah, he had the 2012 Gucci stomach. Now look at what Gucci Man did with his stomach, and niggas was like, he's a clone. You see what happens to our people when they go and clean themselves up? You see what happens to our people when they detox? You see what happens to our people when they want to get rid of the fucking path that they was on and put the drugs down, and their skin starts to clear up, and they shed pounds that they didn't fucking need? Niggas is like, oh, Gucci Man is a clone. It can't be him. You know, his skin is glowing. We know that's not the Gucci that we're used to.
Because I did that interview about my health and revealed this itch, and of course you heard that and then contacted me. And so now I've been studying as many of your protocols and implementing them. I'm still struggling terribly. This itch is relentless. Last night I had to get up at 12:50, about 1 a.m. to have a bath. So make Epsom salts and borax and essential oils. I did a bit of clay. I did apple cider vinegar. That kills itch. But I've got copper sulfate in my apple cider vinegar, like you taught me. Yeah. So I put nearly a half a bottle of that in, and I had to sit in the bath for about 45 minutes and kept reheating it till it stopped itching. Once then I feel relaxed and there's no itch, I can go to sleep, go to bed, go to sleep straight away. Sometimes I can't defeat it with a bath and it'll just go all night. Right now I'm really, really tired. really tired. I've had 3 nights of pretty much not much sleep at all.
Yeah,
Itching all night.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this goes on for months while you're detoxing. You're not only breaking it off the skin, but it's coming from deep inside you, flooding out of you, and it is hell. There's just no other way to put it. Does that sort of cover that for you?
Yeah, yeah, it's quite incredible. It was since then that the itching increased, but it has been intense prior to that as well. I mean, my itching really began 3 decades ago. I can remember it in the 90s.
Yes, and that was the great head lice release. Now, even if you didn't get bitten by a head lice, you know, they'd spread it among people. So when you see the black dots and things, people, like when you start detoxing, you will see these black dots. They look like black dots or fibers. They start flooding out of your skin as your body ejects them. And you know, these, all they need to do is land on someone else and they'll sink back into the skin. And this is cross-infecting people. I hate going to public toilets now. Once we integrate you fully into the world of Morgellons, you will notice these black dots everywhere. You cannot go into a public toilet and look at the seat because women sit down and without seeing these black dots all over the seat. Now, people probably that are unaware probably wouldn't even notice it. But when you become fully Morgellons aware, you get yourself the little jeweler's loupe and microscopes and you start looking, you may scratch your forehead and feel a little sandy grain. It has you running for your jeweler's loupe or microscope and you have a look and you'll find what's hardly even visible to the eye. It just looks like a little black speck. It's a whole new world when you start looking under a microscope or a jeweler's loupe at it. You'll find it's tangles of fibre, or it can be a hard black shape with a fibre, black fibre, habitually protruding out of it. I mean, there's picture after picture, and I've done videos just showing you blowing up what's coming out of people. And to the naked eye, Santos, you just think you've got a little hard speck of dirt or, less than a sand grain on you. Like some of them feel like little stones. They're hard. When they're in the orange sporing form, they can feel spongy. My heart goes out to people trying to get this out of children. Like, we're adults and it's unbearable and you're plunged into hell, and that itching and biting and stinging is just beyond pain. But it's something you have to go through to get this out.
I've had 17 visits with doctors over the past 3 years. All of them, except one, have basically laughed at me.
Nicole says doctors first thought her daughter Ashley had severe diaper rash until the lesion spread to her face.
She constantly thinks that there are bugs on her. And that's what it feels like. It feels like things are crawling underneath your skin.
I don't think these patients are crazy.
At Oklahoma State University in Tulsa, Dr. Rhonda Casey believes Morgellons is a genuine illness and takes precautions when examining Morgellons patients.
We don't know yet whether it's contagious.
Dr. Casey says all her patients exhibit the same types of lesions and scars. She says they are definitely not self-inflicted.
They all appeared to be eruptions more than scratched areas on their skin.
Dr. Casey has taken numerous fiber samples and says they're unlike anything she's ever seen.
They are not textile. They are not any known substance.
Dr. Casey was amazed by the mysterious fiber on Brian's hand and decided to have it tested. She tugs on it, but the fiber holds firm. Finally, it comes loose.
We took the whole plug of skin with it.
Dr. Casey and her colleague, Dr. Randy Wymore, take the samples to Tulsa's crime lab.
Morgellons fibers are not any known textile, cotton or rayon or nylon, not any of those.
What's more, the fibers don't burn when exposed to high heat.
Have you ever done a fiber that didn't vaporize completely other than the Morgellons fiber?
No.
Many in the medical community are nonetheless skeptical, but people who say they have Morgellons are desperate.
Look at the evidence. That's all we ask. Look at the evidence.
It's quite incredible. It was since then that the itching increased, but it has been intense prior to that as well. I mean, my itching really began 3 decades ago. I can remember it in the 90s.
Yes, and that was the great head lice release. Now, even if you didn't get bitten by a head lice, you know, they'd spread it among people. So when you see the black dots and things, people, like when you start detoxing, you will see these black dots. They look like black dots or fibers. They start flooding out of your skin as your body ejects them. And you know, these, all they need to do is land on someone else and they'll sink back into the skin. And this is cross-infecting people. I hate going to public toilets now. You know, once we integrate you fully into the world of Morgellons, you will notice these black dots everywhere. You cannot go into a public toilet and look at the seat because women sit down and without seeing these black dots all over the seat. Now, people probably that are unaware probably wouldn't even notice it. But when you become fully Morgellons aware, you get yourself the little jeweler's loupe and microscopes and you start looking, you know, you may scratch your forehead and feel a little sandy grain. It has you running for your jeweler's loupe or microscope and you have a look and you'll find what's hardly even visible to the eye. It just looks like a little black speck. It's a whole new world when you start looking under a microscope or a jeweler's loupe at it. You will find it's tangles of fibre, or it can be a hard black shape with a fibre, black fibre, habitually protruding out of it. I mean, there's picture after picture, and I've done videos just showing you blowing up what's coming out of people. And to the naked eye, Santos, you just think you've got a little hard speck of dirt or, you know, less than a sand grain on you. Like some of them feel like little stones. They're hard. When they're in the orange sporing form, they can feel spongy. You know, once we get you right into this detoxing, you know, we'll be opening a whole new world for you. I can't promise it's going to be pretty. So does that cover that? You know, just get me to go over stuff if I'm not covering properly, Santos.
Look, just that there's quite a lot of mould. It's very prevalent here on the Sunshine Coast, where we are, especially where I am close to the beach. I see that it's forming everywhere, and I think that might be part of the problem with me not sleeping and itching. I'm pretty sure they've weaponized it, like everything else.
Yeah, on the Shellx channel, Santos, I have a video on the microplasma and I prove beyond a doubt and show you patterns that they have weaponized it. And I believe this is part of the weaponization is you get a bacteria or call it a fungus, a fungus or a mold that grows over the skin. This is part of your fake skin and it is 100% weaponized.
So fake skin is skin that is forming on top of the skin, which is made of nanoparticles. Is that right?
Well, you get like the mold or bacteria, fungus, so I don't really care which one of those names you want to call it, because it's not, whereas they've used a natural trip, it is also weaponized, therefore it is unnatural. But what you get is this fake skin over you. When you tear that skin away, you'll find there's fibres that sit under this fake skin. These fibres we get not only sit on top of the skin and under this fake skin, they also penetrate your body and they live under the skin as well. Like I recently done a treatment which had me throw up, and I put a UV light on it, and I clearly threw up fibres in my stomach. So beyond a shadow of a doubt, these fibres not only live under the fake skin or the bacterium on your skin, they live inside you. I believe a lot of people that are targeted individuals and get hit with the frequencies find when they get down and break this fake skin, the voice to skull and the weaponization and attacks with the frequencies tends to relent a bit for them. The guise of gluten intolerance. Corn is one of the biggest mold growers out. So we'll put Santos back on to have a talk, and then we will go through things you can do to help you get rid of any mold growing within you. So apart from treatments, which we can go over together, Santos, I think I've pretty much covered that, unless you've got any more questions on it.
No.
Yeah? Does that explain well enough for you?
Yep. So back in, I think it was late last year, November, when I was at the cottage, I was bitten by a tick, massive tick. And definitely I've been going downhill since. It was really hard to get over. That left a big patch on my chest, like about 4 inches wide, a circle.
Yes. Well, they blame that and diagnose that as Lyme's, the red circle round it. Now, if you go back to Plum Island, we all know that they've weaponized the ticks. Now, you could go to a doctor in Australia and ask to get diagnosed and tested for Lyme. But do you know the little trick they do? What they do is use an Irish tick marker to diagnose Lyme in Australia. So this is where people aren't being diagnosed with Lyme, which is a co-infection, because they're using a tick marker of a tick we haven't even got in this country. And this is their little hiding the obvious. Now, there aren't many people with Morgellons that, if they did do these tests properly, would not show symptoms of Lyme. It is absolutely systematic with Morgellons. It is a Morgellons co-infection, and I can't stress to people enough, there's no such thing as Lyme's. It's a weaponized weapon. I look at Morgellons, the name is a weaponized man-made weapon, which they put diseases in compartments to hide what they have done and are doing. But that is absolutely systematic, and you should by rights come up positive with a positive Lyme. But because they use that Irish tick marker, it's debatable whether you will. But that red marker is an absolute giveaway, Santo.
Well, listen to this one. A Lakeland woman has been sleeping in her kitchen afraid of the bug infestation in her apartment. We discovered the Renaissance at Washington Ridge, a senior living community, has been written up for a bug infestation before. But as the Now's Andrea Lyon found out, residents don't feel the complex has done enough to help them.
It was crawling all upside my door, the baseboard, everything.
This 58-year-old has been finding bugs, catching bugs.
One had crawled in the crack of the door. And I said, well, Lord, what is this here?
And trying to kill the bugs for the past month and a half.
Yeah, this Victor thing is a bed bug script.
But Marilyn Chappell said enough is enough and called code enforcement.
He found them there. He came on my sofa. He found them there. He found them there. He found them all in the carpet. He went in my room. He found them in the mattress.
This notice from code enforcement to the Housing Authority of Lakeland politely asked the senior living community to rid the complex of the bug infestation. These are pictures proving the problem. Marilyn also has her own proof.
These here, the bed bugs here, I found in my carpet.
And this is where she has been sleeping since it all started.
I sleep every night like this. And I got stents. I'm on sugar. I got thyroid, high blood pressure.
Up and off the ground like the rest of her belongings.
I don't call Adam Putnam, Agriculture Department, Health Department.
A mandatory meeting was scheduled for Thursday at 1, but was mysteriously canceled after we showed up.
The whole place infected.
And when we went to talk with managers, we were told they too had an emergency and were unavailable. Marilyn says she's fed up and just wants out.
No, I don't want to stay here. I do not want to stay here.
In Polk County, Andrea Lyon, The Now, Tampa Bay.
Andrea, thank you. We also reached out to the Housing Authority of Lakeland, but we have not yet heard back.
So what was it? Was that the poison from the tick?
Well, what you have is the insect are a vector that trips what they put inside you. They will use that as a trip, such as the Cynthia that Craig Venter says he invented. The inorganic self-replicating technology they use yeast as the trip. Like when they say they've invented these man-made diseases or inorganic self-replicating conditions, they always need nature, and they use nature as a trip. So what this tick would have done would be trip something in you. It would have tripped something they've already placed in you. I know we've discussed before how in the 90s they released the head lice all over Australia. Now, I have discussed before on the first broadcast I done how myself and my children suddenly started going downhill from there, as in my son immediately started getting cold sores out the blue, my daughter migraines, myself, that's when my health issues slowly but surely started. I started getting joint pains, and as I said, go back to the live stream one and I'll give you a list, and I probably haven't even covered my downhill spiral into hell. But those head lice were the trip that tripped what they'd been filling us up with, ready for that trip. And then years later, you being in Australia, you might remember the bed bugs, the great bed bug plague. Now, this seemed to only worry people that were renting, buying second-hand mattresses, staying in hotels. I know, being a private resident, I never had the bed bug issue at all. But that was another insect trip. And this is where you get these mass releases of insects. That is, the government have done this to trip it. This is why they're setting free all these GM Monsanto mosquitoes. You will find they're being used as a trip. Like, they have plans within their plans. So fibers, what it does is, I'm trying to think of her name. It was the lady that worked with Cliff Carnicom from the Carnicom Institute, and she used either red grape juice or the red wine, and you pull it back and forth in your mouth, then spit it out. What it does is basically shows you what's in your mouth. Doing that back and forth and then spitting in the bin with the coconut oil will that is a puller. That will pull out. The red wine is basically to show you what's in there. To do pulling, use the coconut oil. that's not only an antifungal, but that is actually a detoxer and will pull the stuff out of your mouth. Just remember, people, don't spit it on the ground, because once you do that, it's highly toxic. So don't ever swallow anything once you've done the pulling, and spit it in the bin, so you're not like putting these high toxins in the earth. But yeah, so you then got the you could see everything in the red wine, Santos?
Yep, I had my mute on, sorry. Yep, little dark bits of gunk, just slightly darker than the red wine. So, but you can see it in a white bowl, for instance. You can see it clearly, and yeah, lots of it.
Well, do you know how to do the Morgellons races? Once you do that, have some nail polish remover and then tip that in it, and you'll actually see it form together and run around the dish to get away from the nail polish remover.
Wow.
So, you can pick up nail polish remover for $1 from your supermarket, and you spit that in a bowl, then you tip in the nail polish remover. And anyone that doubts that test doesn't work, well, once you put in the nail polish remover, you tell me how it can all form together and literally run around the dish to get away from the nail polish remover. And this can be with acetone or without, it doesn't matter. But it absolutely hates nail polish remover. But, I wouldn't recommend putting nail polish remover on yourself, because you are dealing with toxins and chemicals. But, yeah. So, when you say you're itching, are you getting the rashes as well?
Never get rashes. I have had welts when it brings on an asthma reaction, like an allergy, not asthma. What am I talking about? Allergy reaction. So, and it does impair my breathing, and I have gotten welts, yes, but very rarely. Normally, all I have is itching and nothing to show for it the next day. No bleeding, no nothing. It's just skin is as per normal. So this is the other thing. People are going, are you imagining this itch? Are you doing it because of mental stress? Is there something psychologically happening to you that's causing it, rather than, accepting anything else? Because my skin really looks like it's, not struggling. You wouldn't think I'd be itching like a dog with rabies all night long, and yet I am.
Yeah, you might find you want to see it move. You put that in, that'll take you to a new level. People have tried to dispute the red wine test. Well, put that nail polish remover in. You can see it forming together and running around the bowl. Anyone that thinks that's a natural occurrence, well, you are suffering from delusion, because it's right there in your face. You can see it.
Yep. So even at that level, those nanoparticles are intelligent. I had a visit a couple of days ago from a friend just down 20 minutes, Yandina way. And he's been struggling with all of these fibers in his face. He's got lumps on his face.
Yep.
And he said sometimes he pulls out these horrible little black fibers, and it looks like he's got pimples. It's not pleasant to see. I mean, you can tell he's really struggling. I don't get any of that, fortunately. I'm so thankful. But my itch, he told me how it feels with those fibers under his face. He says it's like two little bits of very, very microfiber steel wires, and they're just scratching around under your skin. They're strings. It's not like little. This itch is not like a dot itch, the normal everyday itch. All right, where you just go, oh, there it is. I'll just scratch that. This itch is intelligent. It runs along a string kind of thing. It's like these
tracks. It sets up tracks in you.
Yeah. And so he was explaining it to me as though it feels like knotted fine fibers of wire under the skin, all twisted up like barbed wire, and they're just wiggling around.
Yes.
And he says that sometimes he feels like he's just going insane. It's awful. And this is the itch that I get. I was woken up, went to bed 10 o'clock last night, woken up at 12:55. As I said, I had to have a bath. No, actually, what am I saying? I was woken up an hour earlier, so it would have been midnight. 2 hours sleep, wake up at midnight, and I'm sitting there itching. And it's traveling all over the body, and it's fine one moment in my nose, next it's in my ear, and then it gets severe, like a taser. You know, it's like real torture.
Yeah.
And so I was waiting there for an hour thinking, oh no, I don't want to have a bath. I'm too tired, because the night before I didn't get any sleep. And the night before was a disaster. And so sitting there an hour, I thought, no, I've got to do it. So I got up, and the awful thing is if you make a hot bath, then you feel like you want to fall asleep and you can't. So it's kind of the worst time to have a bath. But
there's just no other way to relieve it. You know, you're not going to get back to sleep with that itch, so you're left with little choice, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. You know, like you can lie there and itch and suffer, or you know you can get up, have the bath, and at least, even if you're lying there and can't get back to sleep, at least you've got 5 minutes reprieve from that terrible, painful itch.
You know, it's such a relief to know, though, what this is. It's really a great relief, because before you confirmed it, which I did suspect, by the way, I never discounted pulse weapons, being a targeted individual with towers. I never discounted those things, but I left those as the last port of call for, you know, trying to diagnose this problem. So I was spending thousands of dollars going to naturopaths and people with their Oberon machines and, you know, electronical applications where you hold a couple of terminals and you get your body scan and they tell you this, that, and the other. I spent so much money. This is the range of things people were telling me. Liver toxicity, which it is. Kidneys, left kidneys down, which it is. But you see, this is the thing. You treat the kidneys, you treat the liver, and you get nowhere, like I did. Okay, so they're giving you these drops and these pills or whatever and saying, there you go, you fix your liver. So each one isolates their one symptom or whatever, because that's how, they work, I guess. And then I had gallbladder. My gallbladder wasn't producing bile. I had pancreas. Some people were saying stomach. Other people, the small intestines. Others, it's the bowels. It's candida. And all of these things are correct, because the first thing that starts to suffer is the gut, in my case. Because apart from this itch and thing, I don't have anything. I'm perfectly healthy. I don't get some people get arthritis and rheumatism and all kinds of pains and all kinds of awful things. I've never had any of that. Neither have I had any pain. None of this is painful for me. It's torture, because I can't sleep. I can't think right. I can't enjoy my life. I can't even have a meal without scratching something, my nose, my neck, or whatever. And it's been really bad for 10 years when I I think it was around about 2008, 2009. I just lost 10 kilos and stayed like that till today. I had two symptoms, itching and loss of weight. And they were concurrent. They both occurred around that 2008, 2009 period. And I still can't put weight on. My sister, on the other hand, she's overweight. And she's got the same itching and all kinds of problems as well. So
yeah,
I've always...
There's two ways it seems to be. Santos is you either explode with fatness or you turn into a stick creature. There's no middle ground with it. Now, they say if you're really built up with the candida, the yeast, the mold, the fungi, that's where people tend to go the exploding fat way. But, you know, I just think it's the reaction. Some people go that way while other people go thin, because I believe everyone has this bacterium mold problem, not just, every second person. I think everyone has it because it's part of the weaponization.
Чего-то большего либо прогрессируют, либо своей доступностью. Скорее всего, своей доступностью, что это пошел в любую аптеку, то есть любой человек, даже бабушка, мальчик, девочка, там, не знаю, и купили свободно, то есть не запрещено это. Ни законодательством, ничем.
Later that night, Sergey took us on a tour of local pharmacies to show us how easy it is to pick up the ingredients for crocodile. So these are 24-hour pharmacies that are going to. You can do this at any time in the day.
Кофетин, муравьиный спирт, тропикамид. Добавляешь бензин, начинаешь готовить, выпариваешь, отжариваешь, потом выбирают все вот это в шприц и колятся, не очень сильно гниют потом. Те, кто употребляют наркотик крокодил, если они попадают мимо вены, то они потом очень сильно гниют. Почему наркотик и называется крокодил? Что потом кожа у них похожа на, как у крокодила, шершавая такая.
Sergey said he knew someone who could cook the crocodile for us. He promised to meet us again. That was the last time we saw him. A building where there's syringes all over the floor and like empty bottles of this stuff. What's this? Саша.
Тропикамид, глазные капли.
Тропикамид это те глазные капли, это новое здесь, новое, то есть достаточно веяние. Впоследствии, как выяснилось, очень усиливает эффект, то есть на первоначальной стадии, на стадии инъекции, как раз введения, то есть так называемый приход. И вот, кстати, от этого тропикамида очень разлагаются внутренние органы, то есть большое влияние печень, почки, сердце, то есть все на него. Человек прям высыхает, прям бутыльками колет.
Sasha explained that the eye drops were one of the main ingredients of a new drug called crocodile, a kind of moonshine heroin. Crocodile is so called because it turns the user's skin scaly and eats them from the inside out.
В интернете видел съемки, то есть, клипы выложены, то, что в интернете показывают про этот крокодил, слышал, так образно, в смысле, из чего он готовится, то есть, так после него гниют, как бы нет, у меня особого желания нету, у меня отвращение, как бы, к такому наркотику, я лучше денег найду, как бы, лучше героин, чем вот это. Конечно, героин тоже это плохо, но крокодил это ужас просто-напросто.
Drug users are developing new terrifying ways of consuming opiates faster than the government can decide on any form of policy. The church and the sects aren't the answer, but sadly, they seem to be the best hope these young people have in a city that really does feel like it's been forgotten.
He gonna pull some trees down and whatnot. You know, I like that. Darkman X is Spawn. Earl Simmons is out. That was major right there.
I have been mixing. Now, people, just for those, I have showed it on a video. You can put straight plain copper in the vinegar and it will slowly dissolve. Now, I showed Santos how they sell the copper sulfate at the producers. You go and buy the copper sulfate and tip that in your vinegar. It is a shortcut to infusing your vinegar with the copper. Now, vinegar is antifungal and so is copper. And when you mix the copper sulfate with the vinegar, you have a antifungal bomb. Now, what I've been doing, Santos, is why my head's shaved, I'm just hitting it up big time. And I have got the copper sulfate infused in the organic vinegar. And what I'm doing is mixing that with the bentonite clay. And after my nightly bath soak, I put the bentonite clay with that infused vinegar. That is how I wet up my bentonite clay, and I put that on my head. And I'm going to tell you, some nights I stand there, like literally whimpering as I put it on, because it is pain, people. It is painful, but it's painful because it's killing that bacteria that has established on, and not only on my scalp, but under my scalp, because I feel it penetrating. And that just, and I sleep in it, and that pulls all the fibers and things out overnight. The next morning, I will get up and I will shave, and then I will use the essential oils and coconut oil and such on my head after I shave, because straight after shaving and putting that mix of the bentonite clay, vinegar and copper sulfate on my head, it's just too painful. I've got to wait for that night and not be freshly shaved. I mean, brave it up, people, but you know, you're you'd have to be a mute not to let out a whimper while you're doing that, because it hurts. But I'm not here to tickle Morgellons. I'm here to get this out of me. I know what the 5G is going to do to us, so I'm not playing games with this, just like they're not playing games with what they're doing to us. You've got your mic on. I know sometimes Santos starts talking, forgets about his mic.
Gee, I couldn't get that.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It had like a screensaver. Now, so every day I go out in the sun, and after my shower, and I always put this oil. This is what I've put in mine. So it's coconut oil base and olive oil, and then the iodine that I got from the produce. So I put a bunch of that in, like nearly freaking an eighth of a cup. You know, it's really dark. Mine's brown, really brown.
Well, I do know that the more iodine you put in, the more stuff pops out. I've noticed that with the iodine. The more you use, the more stuff you can bring out.
Right. Now,
add some essential oil in that as well.
yeah. I've got. I'm going to give you my list now for yours and the listeners' benefit. Then I put eucalyptus oil in. I put chamomile, because that's good for itching. Essential oil. I put apple cider vinegar with copper in it. It kind of smells awful, but I don't care. I don't care at all. I love the smell of apple cider vinegar. I put a bit of that in. I put wintergreen essential oil, lavender, oil of oregano, aloe vera, magnesium. Oh yeah. Oh, you can't forget your magnesium. That's good for itching as well. So I put a little bit of cream of magnesium, and also just the liquid. What else?
See, I'll tend to break stuff up. Like I'll do the coconut oil, some castor oil or olive oil, or any oil that's not Monsanto mixed with the coconut oil. I do that mainly to keep the coconut oil so it will mix in with everything, or else coconut oil goes hard. Coconut oil is antifungal. That's the main one you need. And then I might do ylang ylang and bergamot together with the iodine and the mix. And then I might make up another oil with cinnamon. Have you tried cinnamon yet, Santos? It absolutely hates cinnamon. It hates clove. But see, I'll have a couple of different oils, and I'll use one after my morning shower, and then I'll use another one with different essential oils in my night shower. During the day, I'll have a spray bottle of the magnesium made up, and I'll spray that over my head to keep it jumping. I tend to put things in compartments and use them and rotate them. I space things out.
Yeah, I can't really do that because I don't have, that kind of setup here. I have to do. I'm doing so modalities and protocols. I have to do everything in one hit. So I put things together. I don't know whether I'm doing a bad thing or not. I do separate the modalities always, but I've got to get so many things in me. I mean, I'm going hard at this. I do another remedy which I've discovered, which is colloidal silver, which you gave me a bottle of. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've got to give you another bottle of that, and I did send you a link. People on my silver coreal video, I have put a link at the bottom where there's an easy way to make a generator. I think it's that easy, even a non-tech person like me might have a chance at making a generator out with the link I sent you. And that is on the bottom of the video I put out, people. So if you haven't got a silver coreal generator, have a look at that link, and it's an easy, cheap way to make it. And then all you've got to do is go online and buy the silver rods to generate your silver coreal. Now, you can mix a bit of salt in that silver coreal, Santos, and you can actually use it as an eye wash. You can use it in your ears as an ear cleaner. You can drink it for months on end, but always have a break, people. Don't stay on it for like a year without giving it a break. You can run it for months, then give it a break for a good month, then run it again. Don't just So we'll teach you a few more ways. I've got another couple of bottles brewed up to actually give you, Santos, because I want you to stay on the silver coreal. Like when I ran, and I'm still running the hydrogen peroxide, I'm off the silver coreal at the moment because I'm doing the hydrogen. You can go hard at this, but use your common sense. I think have you got something playing there, Santos?
No.
Oh, I wonder what's going on. I'm getting feedback here. That's
Oh, okay. Let's lower my volume. There you go. That'll be better. You won't get it now.
That'll get it. So it was all you're taking the blame for that one, are you?
Yeah.
But like you, yeah, I'm not getting it now. But like, use your common sense. The hydrogen peroxide. Silver coreal at the same time. You alternate them. It's the same when I run a couple of weeks. I'll run a couple of times a week the activated charcoal. So I'll give the zeolite a mix amiss that week. Like, you can overdo it to the point that if you're taking all this stuff internally, you don't want to be binding, because and pulling out your minerals that you need. So, sometimes going hard, just be careful how you go hard. Do you sort of get what I'm saying?
Yep. I mean, in terms of covering as much healing modalities as possible in one day. So, I'll be making different teas because that helps. Your horsetail, your skull cap.
Have you noticed the difference using the horsetail yet?
I don't know. This is the thing. I don't really notice.
Early on, but I can tell you're doing things right for the mere fact you've got this unbearable itch, you can't sleep. Anyone that's been through this knows that's your detoxing kicking in.
Oh yeah, definitely. My body.
This is what you'd call a healing crisis.
Yeah, definitely. My body doesn't want a bar of it. It's definitely kicking it out. It never has been comfortable with it. I've always been very, very sensitive about my health, and I'm just connected with it. So when I feel tired or when I feel something unpleasant in me, that's it. I'm just uncomfortable. I can't live with it. So my body is rejecting this. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, but look, I'm sorry for anyone going through this. I've been through it, so you don't have to tell me what absolute hell it is. But on the flip side of it, once you go through the worst of it, and keep up your protocols, you'll just get your life back. You'll get your energy back. You'll get your sleep back. I promise you, people. But you can't be running down to Kentucky Fried Chicken and stuff like that. You can't go uncured and then go back to, you've just got to get it through your head. You can never have cane sugar again. You can never eat ice cream again. You can't go to McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken. And you've just got to stand up to what people think about this, that they're unawake. You are now awake. So even if you can't convince them, don't even try, because some people, they're just blinded and blinded. All you can do is lead by example. And when their health starts failing and they see yours improving, the penny might drop with them then.
Yep, that's true.
So look, well, we go through a few things for anyone new to this that you can do. Yes, I can see Rebecca in there talking about moringa. That is really a good one, moringa. Now, I've just jotted down a few things that will give you an idea on how our treatments will get rid of the mold. Vitamin C will absolutely kick it. You absolutely two that will cut. And if you're very mucousy, lemon and lime are your two best citrus, and you can't overdose taking them. So hit up with your vitamin C, hit up with your lemon and lime. You must always be on one of these oils, either your hemp oil, or some people call it CDC oil. Just with that oil, it must be sourced organic from countries that have strict organic laws. Like, you will put yourself downhill if you drink the hemp oil that is made from Monsanto. It is GM. Do not touch it. Hemp oil, organic. That is not Monsanto. It's the one you take, or else olive leaf extract, or else the black seed, which you always take with aloe vera and pink salt. You should always run one of these. This is because they kill bacterium, all of them. And for anyone that is scared about using hemp, The government has demonized this. If you look in scriptures, hemp was one of the sacred oils used in the temple. So you believe your scriptures or you believe your government? I'll be believing scriptures, thank you. And for anyone that thinks drinking hemp oil's going to get them stoned, well, it doesn't get you stoned. So look, stop believing propaganda. There is nothing wrong with hemp oil. It is actually beneficial and a great bacteria killer, as is the olive leaf extract and as is the black seed. All clays and zeolite will help kill it. Activated charcoal will help kill it. Holy basil, thyme, clove, oregano, but please see my videos on this because you can overdo oregano. These oils are very strong. It is like this cedar wood. And I say it again, do not take any more than 4 drops internally per day. It is married to hyssop oil. Another one you will find in scriptures. Combine them. Take them externally and internally. Please see my videos on oils. I cover and I warn about all these things. Infrared will help kill bacterium. I show you now, you can buy an infrared mat. They're over $1,000. You can go on eBay and buy a $10 infrared lamp, a light, and then you can go to your local cheap shop and get a lamp with the swivel head. You put that cheap infrared bulb in that lamp and sit it there on parts of your body, and it will absolutely help you. Hydrogen peroxide will also kill the mold. You can also use 1 cup in a bath full of water of the hydrogen peroxide. But people, if you haven't been detoxing long, take this slowly. Start at a quarter of a cup and build up. If you haven't got a bath, stick your feet in it. A lot of people get the fungus in their toenails and their fingernails. Soak your feet and your hands in it. The hydrogen peroxide will kill it. Do not start off gung-ho with the food grade hydrogen peroxide. Work up slowly always. Even just a combination of some lemon juice, some salt, soaking your feet and hands in the vinegar. That will help kill fungus in your nails. Always work up slowly. It absolutely hates cinnamon. Green juices, herbal teas are particularly beneficial. Bicarb mixed with vinegar and salt, or all 3 separately, are fine, and sitting in the sun. Do you have anything to add to that, Santos? Look, there are more things you can do, people, but basically our Morgellons treatments will help knock out the mold because mold is part of our issue. You're still on mute, Santos.